Hi, hello. This is going to be a different video than I usually make. I'm just going to be talking about my predictions as well as my wishes for Guild Wars 3. You're going to be seeing some gameplay of me leveling my Archer character on Terra. I've been kind of burnt out on Guild Wars 2 lately, so I'm playing some other stuff. Let's start talking about Guild Wars 3. ArenaNet have not shown much of Guild Wars 3 besides a 1 minute 30 second mostly cinematic trailer and an interview with the director of the game. So this is mostly going to be conjecture, and there is a non-zero chance that everything I'm going to be saying is wrong when the game comes out. Alright, my first prediction is for what the combat will be like. I think tab targeting combat like you have in Guild Wars 2 and older MMORPGs is not going to be a thing in Guild Wars 3 at all. Tab targeting combat was kind of dated even when Guild Wars 2 released back in 2012, and now it's practically ancient. I prefer tab targeting myself, but it's definitely a learning curve if you're coming off other modern games. So I believe there's going to be an action combat system similar to other action MMO games such as Terra, Black Desert Online or New World. In the interview with the director of Guild Wars 3, he mentioned that it's going to be cross-platform play between the consoles and PC. I wonder how this is going to affect the design of the combat. Guild Wars 2 was built from the ground up for keyboard and mouse, and thus you have plenty of keys to map skills and functions to. But on the controller you have limited buttons and limited precision. I think the game could potentially be dumbed down in order for the game to work well on controllers, but I hope I'm wrong about that. In the trailer you can see the guy running up the wall, so this gives me hope that ArenaNet is going to expand on the movement and jumping puzzles from Guild Wars 2. Maybe they will add some wall running / parkour elements to the game, and also implement some more movement mechanics into the combat loop of the game. The professions are more than likely going to stay the same in name like they did from Guild Wars 1 to 2, but tailored around the new combat system. I doubt they're going back to the Holy Trinity system of yore with the tank, healer and DPS. It would probably be like Guild Wars 2 where every profession can pretty much fill any role. In the interview with the director, he also mentioned that there wasn't going to be any subscription plan, battle pass or quote pay to win. Which is great to hear of course, but I wonder how they're going to make the game profitable if they're not going to do any of that. Is it going to be like Guild Wars 2 where you can play the base game for free and you have to pay for the expansions as well as the cash up items, or are they going to come up with something new? In the trailer you can see 3 different races, the human, the Coda and this little monkey guy, which people who know more about the lore than me say is a hairy Asura variant. I think there's going to be 1 or more playable races than they showed. If not, that will be quite a step down from Guild Wars 2. I highly doubt you're going to be able to play as a Sylvari or Char in Guild Wars 3 because of the setting. I will be happy if they make one of the weirder races playable, such as the Forgotten, rather than something like a Dwarf or Norn. The mount that the guy rode in the trailer is probably an indication that there's going to be mounts in Guild Wars 3 on day 1. Guild Wars 2 has been praised for its mounts, and a lot of other games have copied the mount system that Guild Wars 2 introduced. So I won't be surprised if mounts are in the game on day 1. It would be interesting to see how mounts impact the world design of Guild Wars 3. There is a clear distinction between how the maps were designed in Guild Wars 2 pre-Path of Fire expansion and how they were designed after. The objectives are much further spaced apart and there isn't as much stuff in between the objectives because the developers are expecting you to just beeline it with your fast mount to the objective. One of the biggest issues with Guild Wars 2 is the lack of UI customization. I think you'll be able to customize UI more in 3 than you could in 2, but there will still be limits in place. You're not going to be able to download those crazy overlays like people have in World of Warcraft. Again, these are just guesses for what I think Guild Wars 3 is going to be like, so don't read into it too much. The only people who know for sure what the game is going to be like is ArenaNet themselves. I've applied to be a beta tester for Guild Wars 3 when that eventually comes out. I'm sure I'll be doing some videos on it if I get access to it. That's all I wanted to say on Guild Wars 3 as for now. Thanks for watching and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.